policies and procedures for handling complaints. Review the floor since it's
what this basically deals with is how this board goes about doing investigations and handling complaints. I, for one, have gotten a lot of complaints about the way this board operates, and I can't disagree with about that type of thing. Most of the officers I've talked to in the state say they want the board informed before there's ever an investigation started. I can't disagree with that. They said this board operated for years upon years, the board decided whether to investigate something or not to investigate something, it done very well. I understand some of the things that are being investigated now are highly sensitive. True, we probably shouldn't know about it. Or at least the judges and nurses, folks and everything too. But basically what my people in North Louisiana want, they want the board to have a written set of policies and procedures how investigation and complaints are handled. They want it written by the board, not the board attorneys.
Does everyone understand how this is handled? Anybody have a question about how it's being handled?
No, I've never seen a procedure reviewed before. I've never seen a procedure on how we handle complaints, and maybe we need to be educated on that. Since I've been on this board, I haven't seen exactly if there is a complaint, how it's handled, how it's taken up, who our investigator. I don't have a clue on that kind of stuff. I need to, and I don't know who the rest of us.
I've never seen anything that's policy and procedure in writing.
And we as board people should, our board members should know exactly what's going on that behalf. And I'm kind of with Jim also. I don't necessarily have to have all the nuts and bolts, but I think we need to be informed that so we don't get blindsided with something, especially if it's in our area and there's an investigation going on. As a board member, I think we have some obligation to know what's happening with this board. And I don't know. So, thank you.
All right, I'll be glad to address. How's that?
And I will handle it now.
Okay, prior chairman asked, what I used to do was I would address specific issues, not facts, but issues, and ask the board, which is what I did last time. I
Recommendations.
about a specific issue with regard to a pending complaint. And then the board would say go forward or not go forward with regard to that. A prior chairman asked me just to tell the chairman what is going on. So I can, chairman, not her, asked me to notify the chairman when there was a complaint or an investigation, or sometimes the chairman would tell me. And then I would consult with the chairman as to go forward or not go forward. I never do it on my own. The problem that we have with going, basically with too much information is there is a specific statute, Administrative Procedure Act, which says specifically that you cannot know the facts of a case in detail prior
to hearing it. That's right.
That would mean you cannot talk to other people about it. You cannot get information directly. You cannot investigate it yourself. And far in the past, we had board members who were doing their own investigations, which caused other issues in addition to this, but that is not anyone on this board. So that what I've been doing is basically consulting the chairman, accepting the situation, you appointed Mr. Bordelon as the contact person for me for New Orleans Options, since Tessa worked for New Orleans Options. So I've been consulting with him, and he's made all decisions with regard to going forward on that particular issue. I don't have a problem with policies and procedures. They probably should be done in line with the statutes involved. I talked to Lindsay Hunter, who is your hearing officer and advisor on hearings. She advised me that different boards do it different ways, and she was going to get some of this together for me. She says the one that comes to mind immediately, she has one board that you will, every time there is a hearing or an investigation or a complaint, one board member is appointed by the board to consult with the investigators and the attorneys. And then that board member has to recuse himself or herself from the hearing, because you cannot both direct the investigation
And be a part
and
of it.
then be a member of the board that actually hears the investigation, hears the complaint. So if you hear about it, you have to recuse yourself, is what she says. She is going to give me that information, I'm just going to put it together and see if that's what you want to do. But I need to get some feedback from you as to what you think should be done.
And I think basically what everybody's really wanting to know is it's not doing wrong. If there is a complaint, who's it with? And make sure it's solved right. As far as procedure goes, investigation procedure, that's legal. I have no way in form, I won't get involved in that, know anything about it, until it comes time to hear. The procedure of hearing, I think the board should be getting packets, if this is not of evidence or whatever, instead of us having to pass around some few papers. We will have a hearing, when that hearing starts, everybody's in the packet with all the evidence, mark, and everything, that you interviews it, whatever you need to do. I want to, and I think that'll solve a lot of the problems.
Well, as far as the hearing procedure,
As far as hearing procedure.
I'll certainly take that up with Lindsay because she makes that decision. With regard to the other, again, the problem with giving names and allegations out loud in the meeting is that people hear it and they jump
That's
to
what
conclusions.
executive session for, being litigation. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what the board desires.
Well, maybe you could use a facsimile on a name.
How long?
I'm sorry.
But, and I agree with what he's saying, but also, I don't know the protocol. If I had someone that, auctioneer or myself, that saw somebody out there that I need to get you to file a complaint, I'd like to have a list of what is the protocol, how do we do it, other than me just saying, hey, I need you to check this guy out in this area. I'd like to have a true protocol of procedures of how to handle a complaint.
We do.
We have that.
Well, I hadn't
I've
seen,
never seen
No,
it.
no, no, no. No, how to.
Sherry had that.
We have a protocol, not how to handle it. That's what, that has changed on how to handle a complaint, because I've been on the board since, and it's changed a few times.
that's the kind of information I would
Right,
like
but how
given
to
to
make
me
a
that I could
complaint
read up
is
on.
definitely set up. You call the office, there's a form to be filled out and so forth. As a board member, that's different.
As a board member, I don't know how a regular auctioneer that's not a board member would do it, nor how I would do it as a board member. That's something that goes back to part of the education of what we're doing up here. I need to be enlightened.
I mean, we can definitely tell you that. You call the
Well,
office, and there's a, I'm sorry,
Excuse me.
there's a form to be filled out.
Okay, thank you. I yield the floor.
I think the big problem is most of the auctioneers in this state feel, especially in my area, feel that the board's authority has been too great. It's been turned over to this whoever this woman is, Attorney General's office. And I got shut down, I've heard from myself, because of me. But, you know, I can't disagree with these guys. I mean, these guys pay money to be a licensed auctioneer. And I'm sitting down here representing. Well, if something's going on in my area, especially on a high-profile auctioneer, and I don't know it, then I get blindsided with it, and I gotta sit there, look like a little old funky roll in first grade, don't know what's going on. It's embarrassing. If I had what I'm asking for, which wouldn't be a legal problem, I don't think. No different than just attorney going to grand jury, getting through the bill, and it's public record, the day it goes to court. There's no difference. Yes, there is a complaint, yes, there is an investigation going on, and that's it. That's all I would tell them. But I can at least know the answer. And I ain't got to call and aggravate Sandy or aggravate you or aggravate Alan to find out. I'm sorry.
I think what government general wants is transparency with regard to boards. What I would like, if possible, is that before we have a meeting, if we're going to have a hearing, I would like a set of facts. And you don't have to use the name of the person, you can use Mr. Rex or Madam Z, with regard, and also give us an idea as to what the infringement is before we meet to adjudicate, if that's possible, without using any names. Because I think if I had that in advance, I'd be better prepared. I think Freddie had his hand up.
He does. I didn't know if you wanted to respond.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, is basically give you just the basic situation without giving specific names.
I have not got it before hearing. I mean, I get it the day of the hearing. I'd like to get it before.
Well, that's what I discussed the last meeting about the hearing that's coming up in November, was the fact that this is the set of facts, which brought no discussion on that.
Yeah, if we have something in writing, and that way I could be better prepared for it.
You want it prior to the hearing or prior to?
Yes, I would like it prior to the hearing.
I'd like it to be bailed out at least 10 days before the hearing.
What do you want specifically? Are you?
Yeah, before
Okay.
hearing, we have a complaint, and we could have the responses provided prior to that. I'll check to make sure that's the
And I
right.
think
Is it
as a board,
possible
we'd
if
be
you
better
put
prepared.
the evidence exhibits in?
Well,
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's
I know
third-party
some things
complaint.
have legal.
Well, no,
ramifications, but-
some are third-party complaints. I advise a third-party complaint, for example, to provide us with the documentation ahead of time. And sometimes I have to subpoena it, but certainly, I don't see a problem with the complaint itself, because we do not generate, unless the board asks me to, we do not generate a complaint in-house. We do that in third-party complaints.
Would you have a problem, you or Larry, you the one, since y'all represent both attorneys that represent the board, the three members of this board, write the policy and procedure? We got an attorney on the board, people's legal with the statute.
And I've asked for some suggestions from the Attorney General's office with regard to that, to give you some guidance on what is legal and what is not. And I don't have a problem if you want to do that. I just want to make you aware that any complainant or any auctioneer can come in and say, you have too much information, I don't want you hearing it, and I don't want the board recused from any board hearing because of that, because you have too much, information before.
I see
And-
where you're going from, and I don't want that.
Okay.
Not
And that's what
That's not what we're asking for.
And I'm not having a problem with giving you more information if you tell me your procedure and how you want it done.
How do you want it handled where, I'm getting, if it's in your area, you want to be called about it?
Can I make a suggestion? Let me, Greg Borlon, Hal, with Darlene looking over our shoulders, and she's an attorney, let us put something right in.
Now shaking his head no. Now shaking his head
Maybe
no.
Boston Sunshine Rule, we could do that this morning.
What?
You have that many board members.
You can have four.
You can email
Four.
back and forth.
So you want to have a committee?
Yeah, our committee's always got at least 3 people.
But I would not want, I would be happy to serve on any committee, but I would not want to usurp Attorney Dow, because I think she's done a lot for the board. And I want to make sure that we're within the guidelines of what we need to do.
Can I make a suggestion, which is what I was planning to do, is at the next meeting, because this came up so late, I couldn't get it from the Attorney General's office. They have promised me, they're going to provide me with a number of different procedures and policies that the other boards use. I'll even provide you the one we use for interior design. And you can look at those, make choices which you think is best, and then I or the Attorney General's office or Darlene or one of us can put it together so that you can implement it and do it rulemaking. That would be, basically sometime first part of 2013. And put that out.
I'm happy to do whatever y'all want me to do.
Freddie, you want to make a real quick comment?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I in the past have asked for a lot of information prior to, just to be informed. But then at the same time, I know Mr. Sims is wanting to know what's going on in this area, which may prejudice the board or even interfere with the investigation if it's someone, that he's given privileged information to. Not say he is, not say he will, but the point still lies that some things are better kept as close as possible until it's disclosed, because you don't want to prejudice the board in their opinion of the person before they get a chance to hear him. So, you know, there are a lot of violations that could very well happen as a result of this, and I think the board needs to be very cautious in proceeding in that direction, as Ms. Dowell has stated. It is something that we may not want to do because it may cause maybe some problems that leaks out and stuff like that, because it always comes from the inside. We know that when it gets out there. It doesn't come from the outside, because nobody knows what goes on even in this room but the ones who are here. So it may be something advantageous to the board to consider.
Thank you. Okay.
I do have a question. On the complaints, you know, they say somebody complains to our attorney. Well, is it a decision that's made by the attorney to follow up on that complaint, or is it a board decision before that's pursued? What's the usual protocol on that?
The standing protocol has been that,
Chair.
well, because Anna brings it to the board, you know, before the hearing, and very
Well,
vague
first-
in general,
I first make the chairman aware that there is a complaint
without names.
and the circumstances behind it. And she will tell me, because I don't pretend to be an auctioneer. Sometimes some of these complaints are very much involved with practice. So I have to ask somebody who knows. She's the chairman, she's the one I report to on my contract. So I asked her, is this something I should go forward with or not go forward with? And she advised me and gives me direction with regard to what I'm doing. And I do basically what she does until, I do make recommendations sometimes. It depends on the complaint and the circumstances behind it.
But I don't know the part, you know, who's
She doesn't know.
complaining, I don't know who the complaint, you know, they're complaining about. Well, she'll call me, which is a general, so this person is auctioning without a license. Do you want me to send an investigator? Oh, yes. You know,
And
it's
then-
been very, you know, like that, so I don't know any specifics.
Right, and then if you want me to, whenever the veto's complaint coming up next, I brought to the board as far as what the circumstances were. The Wilson complaint, I brought to the board what the circumstances were, and the board told me to go forward with it last meeting. You just advised me, I went ahead and mentioned Mr. Desentell's name because it's a license, it's someone practicing without a license, which is a little different circumstance. And I brought that up, so.
I didn't really realize that was happening.
Mhm.
That's a lot of responsibility for one person as a chairman to take on. Maybe that, she has two other board members or whatever, she bumps that off of before a single source decision is made. That might be something we want to look at also, too. It may not be a valid complaint. And, you know, it's a lot of pressure to put on her. Maybe you implement something where we have a couple different checks.
And the question is, you can't have too much information, again, that's the problem.
Well, it could all be generic.
It could all be generic, and in that case, that's not a problem. It depends on how, it's just that, again, we went to start doing this practice a chairman or two ago, and that's just what I've been following under the direction.
The biggest complaints that have come in, I've been accused on, so it's on the rec, so that wasn't it. Then the other ones, I've had like 3 or 4, and they were very general, just questions, should I do more investigative work?
And maybe you check with those other boards, see if they did it all to the chairman or one person.
No, the one you told me about specific was, they appoint either, in one board, they appoint a committee which is not made of board members. And then they advise as to whether or not this is a violation of practice or whatever. Another board says, okay, we're gonna appoint, you know, this particular individual to monitor the investigation and the legal proceedings, but that individual, if they monitor it that closely, they have to recuse themselves. So it's a question of how, and I don't have a problem with, you know, this is up to the board. I don't have a problem how you want to do it. It's just that you also have to realize that if you take on responsibility for monitoring an investigation, you have to recuse yourself, and you have to be very careful that you don't get in the middle of the investigation, because you're not protected by state law from your immunity if you go beyond your positions.
I think between what Mr. Sims said and myself, we're giving you a lot to get back with us for
Sure.
the next meeting.
That's not a problem.
We find out. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
And Mr. Simpson, you put this on here, are you happy with that? Anna comes back next time with more specific, and then we'll go on.
I'm going to bring you back specific ways other boards do it.
And you'll look at if it's in the area, if that's a possibility. Or we can maybe put the chairman and person in the area. Can have a
And you need to tell me how much, because if you
Right.
have too much means you cannot
whoever's
be
area.
involved in here.
Just general specifics, I mean, they don't gotta be like,
Right.
we got any names.
General, yeah. General specific, that's a fine.
Well,
Okay.
I understand exactly what
I
it
know.
is. Okay.
So we're good on